again everybody on my next video, gardening video. As I said, I would show you kind of sowing seeds this week. Now is the time of year to be sowing your biennial and hardy perennial seeds, and also some of your more winter crops that you're going to have in your veg garden. Really all I want to do today is to just kind of give you some tips on sowing your seeds, how to sow them, just to try and give you a better chance of them germinating well for you. Now, when it comes to sowing your seeds, there are many ways of doing it, and there are many things you can be putting your seeds into. And again, I just want to give you some ideas of things that you can be using and recycling, such as newspapers, milk bottles, yogurt pots, but also using your general seed trays, which you get from the garden centre or DIY stores. Obviously here at the hospice we recycle and reuse our plastic as much as we can, but we do also, as I say, sow our seeds sometimes in these homemade paper pots, which again, if you go online, there's full instructions on how to make those, and it's quite therapeutic sat there on a rainy day making loads of them ready for you to use. A few things to take into account. Obviously make sure you check your seeds, make sure it is the right time of the year to be sowing them, and that will tell you on the packet whether you can be sowing them now or not. Obviously when it comes to a biennial seed, the whole point of those are that you sow them now, the plant grows throughout the rest of this season, and come sort of spring, summer, it will be flowering for you next year. So it's a longer term plant, it's not going to give you gratification and a flower immediately, it takes time. But I find actually I get a more sense of satisfaction from something that takes a long time to grow, and I get overjoyed when I finally see it come into flower because I know I've nurtured it all that time. But you can also be doing your hardy perennials now. Again, those will not flower for you till next year, but at least if you sow them now, by the time springtime comes, they're a nice, big, mature, good plant than when you sow your seeds first in the spring. Obviously seeds, when it comes to them, they are in varying shapes, sizes, and obviously when it comes to a seed packet, you get all different types of amounts. Today I'm just going to sow some Viola cornuta, which are some beautiful little winter violas, which we would be using here in our hanging baskets and pots throughout the winter. Now for this, there are 200 seeds in this packet. So again, you've got to think about that. If you are going to sow the whole packet, you don't wish to just be sowing it into one little pot like this. You need to give the plants good space and aeration around them so that as they germinate and grow, they're not getting entangled with each other, they're not getting no air. Make sure there's airflow because that helps with obviously pests and things like that. So when it comes to these, as I've got nearly 200 in the packet, I would be wanting to sow them in a big tray like this, or in lots of individual pots like these paper ones. I always find having a little pot handy, or even a little tray to put the seeds into, so that I've got them right in front of me. You can put them in your hand, but I've found in the past I then end up dropping loads of them, or they end up in other trays with other plants, or the wind blows and away we go. So I tend to use a little pot. That way I can see all my seeds, they're safe in there. When it comes to putting them in a big tray, you can just sprinkle them so that they're spread out, or you can do them in lines. It's up to you, whatever works best for you. I myself just sprinkle them lightly over the soil surface, spreading them out as best I can. What's good with like viola seeds, they are of a brown colour, so they're light in colour, so once they touch the soil, you can generally still see where they are. So I'm just going to sprinkle them over the surface. There's no perfection to it, just sprinkling them, making sure they've got space between them. And I would say myself, I wouldn't sow this whole 200 seed packet in this tray. I'm not counting, but I'm only going to sow maybe half the packet. You have kind of got to go on a basis sometimes when it comes to seeds that you are only going to get maybe half of them, if you're lucky, germinate. There are times you will get them all germinate and you will have loads of plants. If you end up with 200 of them, that's a lot of plants. So once they're on, as I say, because these are light coloured, I can actually see where they are. They're nicely spread out. I'm then going to cover them. Now again, when it comes to covering the seed, you can either just cover them with a light layer of the compost or seed sowing compost, or you can cover them with, like I have on this one, cover them with just vermiculite, because again the vermiculite acts as a good retainer for the moisture, but it also, there's not putting any soil on it, but it gives good aeration for the seeds. It's up to you. This one I'm just going to cover it with some soil, just lightly, just so they're covered, not too deeply. You don't want them too deep down, otherwise it's highly likely they just won't germinate. You know, you don't want to compress the soil, don't compress it down, otherwise that tiny little seed has got a lot of work to try and break through that compressed soil. So just nice, light and airy. Spread it out, cover them up, and that's it. That's your tray done. Make sure you label them so that you know what they are as they're coming up. Otherwise, sometimes if you're not labeling them, unless you've got a really good memory on the amount of seeds we sow, you need to keep up with them. Once you've finished that, you can put this tray in a tray of water, let it soak up the moisture it wants, take the tray out and place it on a warm side. They can even actually go outside now. They don't need to be in a heated propagator or in the greenhouse. You can keep them outside to germinate. Just watch out for pests such as slugs, snails, pigeons, anything like that. The next one I'm going to do, as I said, is some foxgloves. I love foxgloves. I think they're beautiful. They come in a mass array of colour. And what's quite nice, once you've got them, they will automatically set seed and you will end up with more and more year after year. When it comes to foxglove seeds, these are a lot more different to the violas. They're much more like dust seed, if you like. Tiny, they're black in colour. They're quite dark in colour. And like I said, they are a bit like dust. They're not easy. They're not the type of seed that you could just plant one in a pot. Not unless you've got really good dexterity and good eyesight. Right, for this one I'm going to just sow them across the surface of this tray. Now this has got individual bits, and what I'm going to do is just sprinkle them across the surface and I will thin them out. So once they start to germinate and get their true leaves, I will then thin them out so that there is only literally one per tray module. Another tip when it comes to seeds like this, if you can't see them so well, or you don't know if you've sown them, spaced them out enough on the tray, is you can use, from the garden centres, you can get a really fine sand, really fine. And you could put some fine sand in with the seeds, then sprinkle the sand along with the seeds across the surface of the soil. That shows you where you've roughly put your seeds. That gives you just an indication that actually you've filled the whole tray, you've spread them out well, and so on. So that's just another handy tip when it comes to sowing them. As I say, I'm just going to sow just a few in each little module. Like I said, these are like dust. And again, I'm not going to sow the whole packet in this tray, partly because I think there's something like 1,200 seeds. You know, you don't want to be sowing 1,200 seeds in this tray. Try and split it up a bit. Then I'm going to cover the surface, just like last time. Not compacting it again, just leaving it to air. Just cover covering the soil, and again labelling them and then watering them. Like so. And I'll just put my label in, which these are Foxglove Sutton's Apricot. So they're not a really, really tall one, they're quite a shortish one, but then have this kind of lovely pinkish apricot colour to them. They're just beautiful. We'll have them for our gardens for next year. As I said, you don't have to have all these plastic seed trays. You can be using things within your own home. As I said, making these paper ones. And if you go online, there are videos and that show you how to do them, and they're not too difficult, they're quite easy. And as I say, when you've got a rainy day and you can't be out in the garden too much, you can sit and make loads of these, which I do. These have got some bellis in them, so little pomponette mix they're called. And again, these are part of the flowers and things we have in our baskets and our containers and that over the winter. And as I said as well, a milk carton you can use. Just cut the bottom of the milk carton off. Make sure you kind of put some drainage holes in the bottom. It's important to have drainage. Seeds don't want to sit in loads and loads of water because they'll just rot. They need good drainage, good air, and yeah, you've got another nice container to grow your seeds in. Another type of one is using some of these plastic yogurt pots. Again, you do need a drainage hole in the bottom of them, but they work perfectly good. And as I say, you can actually keep your seedling in this for quite some time till it is quite a big established plant. So it saves you the kind of potting on. And when it comes to the newspaper ones, as I say, what's good about these is they biodegrade. So actually, once the plant is of a good size within this little pot, I can actually just go and plant it straight in the garden with the paper and everything. And this newspaper will biodegrade, disappear under the soil, and the plant will spread and grow. It's really good, these are, for plants that don't like root disturbance. So your peas, sweet peas, and some seedling flower seeds like sweet sultan and that, they don't like root disturbance. So those are very good for that. I do hope you found this very nice and informative, and I do hope it makes you go out and just get some seeds and have a go at growing something. There's no better satisfaction than from growing your own plants, there really isn't. It's something I thoroughly enjoy, and I will be sowing more here at the hospice. And as I said, I'll be doing another video later this week to show you some of the projects we've previously done, so our container veg, hanging baskets, maybe even some of these seeds might be germinated by then. We will see. They can take between 7 and 28 days, but we'll see. Sometimes it's amazing how quickly they do germinate. And just show you the gardens here and what we're growing and how things are getting on. Next time, when I do your next video, I'm aiming to do it showing you potting on. So once your seeds have germinated, and they've got their true leaves, I'm going to show you how to pot on and at what stage you should be potting these plants on into bigger pots to give them more room. So that's my next video.